Welcome back to Pick Up the Pen, the podcast where we sit down for grounded, unfiltered conversations about mindset, health, relationships, and rewriting the stories we've been told. Today, I'm joined again by someone I deeply respect, Alex Hipwell. Alex is a former dancer, an athlete, mother, a coach, and a voice for women's strength and health. She knows firsthand what it looks like to look powerful on the outside but feel disconnected on the inside. Alex, welcome back. Nice having you.
Thank you. It's taken a while to come back, but I'm really happy that we made it.
Yeah, me too. I'm pretty curious about this one. Our last podcast was also pretty powerful, but you remember what happened. I lost the whole video footage, which till this day I'm still upset with it. I know I need to let go. I know. I'm working on this, but I would like to start, and we spoke about the first topic, which is the hustle culture. And my first question is, hustle culture teaches us to measure our value by how much we produce. When did you first realize your identity had become tied to your output?
When I started to run on that fight or flight mode and constantly chasing the next high or the next amount of money or something that was almost external. And I lost that feminine power of mine, which is finding that or knowing that rest is also part of joy, and happiness and quiet moments and silence is all part of my feminine power. And I just had this push or this drive behind me that was hustle, hustle, hustle. You don't need anyone else in your life. Just you can do everything on your own. You can be independent. And what I was also seeing online, like what was in front of me, whether it be social media or the women I was around, were also putting out that energy. You know, we don't need anybody else. We can do this on our own. Be independent. This is a good thing. And in all of that time, we were losing one of our most powerful sides, which is rest, joy, happiness, quiet. I don't know. So I think I noticed the change this year, to be honest.
Wow. Okay, that's been a moment. I mean, I've seen your work, what you're always doing, especially Fridays. Your posts are the best. I love it. And yeah, my next question is, what do you believe it does to a woman's spirit when her worth is reduced to productive?
Her worth, she stops choosing herself, right? So burnout becomes the norm. Burnout becomes the drive, or this is how I'm supposed to feel. And I think when women stop choosing themselves and hand their power over to an employee or even to maybe a partner or a friend or whatever the relationship we're talking about, you know, professionally or privately, you sit there and you wait to know, am I good enough? Oh no, I'm not going to send this email with this idea because, oh, it's a bit eager. It might be a bit eager. You're waiting to be chosen. So you're just constantly chipping away at your own self-esteem, your own self-worth, rather than just showing up as you are and having that confidence and choosing you and saying, let's say in a professional setting where you want to pitch for this or you want to be enthusiastic about a particular idea at your work, but you hold back because out of fear of rejection, out of fear of being too eager, out of fear of I don't know. And I think also in the relationship situation is very similar. It's okay, I haven't heard from this person in a while. You know, what's happening there? Why do they not like me anymore? And you want to maybe, I don't know, reach out and say, you know, do you still want to see me? You just handed your self-worth and your power to someone else to say, am I good enough? Rather than going, do I like the way this person or this situation shows up for me? Because it doesn't really align with who I am. It doesn't make me feel very good. I choose me. I choose peace. I choose happiness. I choose, you know, silence or stillness. And that's what I was saying before about this, finding that balance then of that, you know, that feminine power that we have that we lose when we hustle and grind. We lose the connection to that, which is so powerful, and just going, stop for a second. This doesn't make me feel very good. I don't like the way that this person or this situation shows up, and removing yourself from it rather than waiting and giving your power over to someone else to say, am I good enough? And waiting for them to say, do I want to see you again or not? Does that make sense? Like, does that answer what you're saying? And you can use it in any context, I guess. And it's really about, at the end of the day, it's about choosing you. And I struggle with this a lot. Like, it's very easy for me to talk about it, but it's something that I work on daily. And I think situations, whether in the workspace or in your private life, friendships or partnerships, they show up to show you, do I still need to work on this? Am I feeling this? Am I staying in this situation, or am I, can I easily remove myself from it or send that email or send that text or whatever it is? So, yeah, I think choose you. I think this is what we all need to continue to work on.
Yeah, that's very nice. And thank you for that, for those insights. I believe also it really comes down to self love. I've spoken about this in my previous podcast with Sabra, and it was very nice. And she was struggling with PCOS, and she also fell into a victim mindset, but also she didn't enjoy what she saw in the mirror. And that was very painful for her. And she also realized, and I mean, people need to know this, but it is obviously also biology, how people treat you, rarely appearance. I mean, that is sad, but we live in this world, and that's the reality. That's also human psychology. And I believe we should always look inwards. But also, what I realized is you grow with other people actually more than you're on your own, because you can also get lost in this whole self-development, personal development. Read another book, and then you read four other books, and then you listen to this podcast, and then you do this workshop, and then you do this. But it's so much that you're overstimulated, and you're going to feel overwhelmed, and then you're going to feel stuck. And I know this from personal experience, that you're always trying to, do better. And then, go back is a whole different topic, but your whole childhood, the love from your parents, how was it? Was it a stable home? Is your nervous system regulated? Are you feeling at peace? Are you always on fight or flight? And I think that's a pretty beautiful transition into the next, which is, if life is a stage, where were you overperforming instead of simply living?
Okay, give me a moment. Give me a moment. All right. So, if life was a stage, I love a stage. If life was
I
a
know.
stage, where was I overperforming? And what's the other
Yes.
part?
Where were you simply living?
Up until this year, 100% people pleasing. I was
Uh-huh.
really like, this is something I've been doing a lot of work on this. People pleasing, not choosing myself. And this is really my private life. My professional life is good. I got
Uh-huh.
boundaries, honor them. I know what they are. I feel it in my nervous system straight away. If you cross my boundary, I know exactly what the steps are. But when it comes to my private life, I'm still doing a lot of work there. Okay. That's why what you just spoke about really resonated. But I was overperforming 100% in constantly trying to please other people, that external
Uh-huh.
validation, being accepted, fear of
Uh-huh.
rejection is a really big thing for me that I'm doing a lot of work with.
Uh-huh.
And simply just living. I honestly, last 6 months, I have lived more than I have in the last 15 years,
That's crazy.
where my feet
Uh,
are. Not where I'm going, not where I've been, but literally, Dwayne, where my feet are. I have never
uh,
felt so present as I did the last, and it was a conscious decision to do that. It was let go of what other people think of you. People are always gonna have an opinion of me, and that's a projection of them onto me, and it doesn't matter, you know? Um and I think to be so conscious of being present and making decisions for myself and what makes me happy, what happiness means to me, what freedom means to me, what connection means to me. I lived that and I was living. So I don't know if that answers your question or if I got it wrong, but that's what came to mind when you said that.
no, that's pretty beautiful as well. And I remember there was one moment you shared with me, was when you was on vacation with your son, and you wanted to pull out your phone, but then you was like, wait a minute, I'll stay present. I remember you told me this. I think we were in the car somewhere. We were somewhere.
I did.
Yes, I remember this. And I was like, wow, this is really being present. Like, you really caught yourself like, okay, I want to capture this. But then you was like, no, let's just stay in the moment. Let's stay
And
present.
capture it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. That's very, very important. And I'm also working on this right now. I find it very important to try to stay in the here and now, or quantum leaping. I'm really looking into this. I really love it. It is very powerful. Brian Tracy, also very interesting for people to look into when it comes to a positive mindset, which is, or I would say, your mind makes you or breaks you. And I believe we have a lot of power if we are as consistent, for example, as we are with our training. I mean, the two of us,
Yes.
we are definitely athletes, and I know, you're performing great, you're looking great, you feel great. I mean, it shows in your pictures, there's power in your pictures. Yeah, I mean, you were busting your butt on this. It doesn't just happen. I know a lot of women in your age that don't look anything close or they could not even compete, and the same goes for men, like it's easily, they would be eating dust. And it shows also, and this is also the beauty that got me inspired to also reach out to you and connect, because yeah, I could tell it's the passion you have and the fire that you show. It can be different, and also having a lot of responsibility, and obviously what you said before, being hyper independent as well, that leads to, okay, first you shovel up your defense wall, and then you start to learn to, okay, I can be soft, I can be gentle, and I don't always have to be in this mode. And I think this is also something that is not easy to, I would say, rewire your brain on this. I think that takes a lot of time and a lot of patience and being gentle with yourself and not too harsh with yourself. I think
I think it
that's
it
also,
does, but on the other side, when you are so in on that hustle and that grind and, controlling everything, that you almost forget. You
uh,
forget, how do I just sit and be? How do I be quiet? And why do I need to do that? Like, this is feminine power. Like, this is what makes us so special. And I feel that it's so loud externally and everywhere that we have in front of us, the distraction of bigger business, become the CEO, do this. And that's what I was coaching. That's what I was promoting. So the women that were coming to me were very similar. This high performing, become the CEO of your life, become the CEO of your profession, do your own thing, start your own business. And then all of a sudden I was seeing all of these women and I was just like, something's missing. Like, why can't we be vulnerable? Why can't we, just be soft and sit in that? And it's not about going all into your feminine energy like we hear about all these energies. No, it's about having both. They are so powerful together, and we can't just rule out one. So I was like, if I'm going to coach and be the best coach that I can be, and even be the best mum I can be, then I need to tap into this and find out, how do I start to heal? And what you said before, I found so interesting. When you're on your own and you do this whole self-development and you're doing all these things and you go off to your retreats and blah, that's not where you learn. It's the people that show up in your life that highlight what you need to still work on. And I tell you what, the amount, even this morning I did it, I was like under my breath again, thanking this person who has come into my life continuously to show me what I still need to work on, And a lot of it is my feminine side, which is something that I've ignored, being a single mother, having to raise a child, co-parenting with a great father, of course, but, separated, no family here at all. So I didn't know how to be soft. I didn't know how to take time off, how to just be me and be with me. And so I think now doing all that work is rippling into my coaching, and this is beautiful. Like, this is super powerful, and I'm learning a lot about myself, but also seeing it, in the women that I coach as well, which is gorgeous.
yeah, that is very powerful in itself, I have to say, because of course, raising a child alone, you have to kind of do both roles, which is, I believe, very difficult at first, because I mean, who will teach you how to be a mother or a father? Nobody. You have to figure that out all on yourself. And
Exactly. I'm still looking for the rule book apparently, but I can't find it.
yeah, then I would like to move on to topic number two, which is wrong beliefs and self love and gentleness. I mean, we already kind of got into it slightly. And my question is, what are some of the wrong beliefs women still carry when it comes to hustle, rest, or self worth?
That we have to hustle, like, all the time. Like, this is
Um,
this belief behind working super long hours, canceling on yourself. This is what I see from experience through what I do on my coaching platform. Having you in your calendar is a priority. You are a priority. Your health, your fitness, how you show up for yourself is a priority, right? And if you are going to the gym, I don't know, 8 a.m. in the morning, or you do a lunchtime session, and then someone calls and says, okay, there's a meeting. Can you do a meeting at 8 a.m.? And you're like, God. Most women will say, okay, rather than saying, no, but I can do 9, or I can do 9:15, or I can do this time. We will cancel on ourselves. Yet, you would never cancel on your boss or someone else. If your child had an appointment at 8 a.m., you wouldn't cancel. You say, no, my child has a doctor's appointment or has this appointment, but I can do 9:15. Why is it still so difficult to put yourself first, to be number one? Why do we still frown upon this as a woman, that it's selfish to take time for yourself? It's selfish to go to the gym for an hour or go for a walk or go and sit in a cafe and just watch people. Like, these things give me energy. So it's taken me so long to be able to sit there and say, no, sorry, I don't have time then, but I do have time on this time. Right. And I said, I think that is what's still what's for me is what's highlighted for women at the moment.
Okay, thank you for this. Now, there's also a fine line, obviously, because we always need to be real, and you know this as a coach as well. There is a fine line between how we practice self love without it slipping into excuses or laziness. Now, we were speaking about the hustle, but also I think there's a very fine line to say, "Oh, you have those podcasts, relax and do everything." How's your point of view on that?
Oh, I love that you bring this up. And I do say this a lot because I am the first person to, as a coach, if you don't feel good or you're not having a very good day or it's not so powerful day, so whether we're talking about hormones even, you're just not feeling it. Inside yourself if you're lazy or not. And I always bring this up. So at the end of the day, am I just not having a very good day today? And can I remove my schedule and train the next day or do this the next day or whatever? If you're being lazy. So what counts is what happens when no one's looking. That's what counts. That's your character. Who do you want to be when nobody is looking? And, when you go to sleep at night, you're the one who has to go to sleep at night. Put your head on that pillow and know that they're the choices that you made when no one else is watching. So I think all I can do as a coach and as a mentor is create a space where you honor your body with the plate of food that you create. Honor your word when you say you're going to do something. You show up for yourself because your future self is counting on you. That's all that I have the power to do. And I will continue to voice that and remind people of, if you're being lazy or not, because I think that sentence in itself is just like, it'll sting you if you're like, damn it. But at the end of the day too, have a day off, sit on the couch. But if you see that rippling into other parts of your life or it becomes continuous, I think have the strength to either reach out and ask for help or, for God's sake, you're an adult. Pull your big girl pants up. Don't be a victim and go and do what you said you were going to do, right?
Yes, I can only agree as well. I can see this when it comes also to coaching clients. There's a very easy path of slipping into those excuses. And it is also, and we, I think, need to address this as well when it comes to communicating what's going on in your life. I think that's very important, but I believe every single coach is struggling, even no matter how warm you are, how, caring you are for clients. I think sometimes it is also the individual that needs to understand that when you enter coaching, you need to be able to be coachable. You also speak a lot about this. Being
I
coachable
do.
means, because people come to you and say, yeah, but I've been doing it like this. I get that, but the result shows how you're feeling right now. The whole frame, the picture, who you are today shows that what you've been doing hasn't been working for you. And that's why you need to learn and be coachable to try ways that will bring results. But it is also having faith and patience and bringing up consistency. So I believe that is a topic that is very, very
Absolutely.
important to address.
I want to jump on that because I think anytime that I'm opening the door to lifting women, I always say you have to be coachable, you have to be open to feedback, open for change. And then there, in the beginning, that immunity of change is there. It's very present, the resistance, right? And I think it's about communicating with them, why are you here? Where were you on your own and why are you here now? So you have to be open for that change. And it is very difficult because it's uncomfortable. And
Um,
humans, we don't like change, do we? We like to just stay where we were, where it's comfortable. So I think there are a lot of people who are super coachable, but there's also people who just have this resistance against them. And I think it comes just from a place of fear of change.
100%. I can only agree. Rebuke. It's a,
Yeah.
a very important thing to speak about because, yeah, discomfort is not nice, but it is also when we speak about communication, when we speak about relationships, no matter romantically, business or wherever, it is very important that we are working on the skill of also emotional intelligence when it comes to those things. Because I would say there is no maturity without emotional intelligence. It is very difficult. It is very, very difficult because
I think
it's not.
there's a lot of us that need a bit of work there. I mean, you're not in the dating world. I'm in the dating world, so it's very present for me. Yeah, the lack
Yeah.
of, let's say.
Oh man. Okay. Now we can actually move on to the third topic, which is the strategy to slow down. And yeah, slowing down doesn't mean losing yourself, but it also means fueling properly. And how do you structure a slow week to strengthen you instead of derailing yourself?
I really love this. Inside my coaching, and I do this with my clients, is on a Saturday I plan the week coming up. So what does it look like? And depending on my energy levels, depending on what's happening or what's happened in that past week, I will decide if that up and coming week is a pull week or is it a push week.
Uh,
Now, when it's a pull week, it means no social events, no coffees with anyone, no meeting anybody. It's more about focusing on my business, my training, my son, and my energy, just kind of retanking being with myself. If it's a push week, then I'm good. Like I know where I am, for example, in my cycle. I know my powerful, not so powerful days. Don't have a lot of appointments coming up, then I'm really open to meet friends for coffee, maybe go out for dinner, have an extra training session here and there, something like this. So I am really aware of a push and pull, and I found that I've implemented that into my coaching business. And literally, when I hear that through my athletes and even myself, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling low. You know those feelings when sometimes you're just like, I'm gassed, like I'm running on empty. Then it's like, click. All right, from today onwards, it's a pull week. Say no, and really say no. Like actually being okay with not having to explain yourself to somebody of why you don't want to go or why you're not going to do something. No is your answer. No is your explanation, and that's okay. You don't need to explain why, but you will notice that if you do this and you're aware of doing a push and a pull week, that your energy feels so much better. You get good night's sleep, you go to bed on time, you do some meal prep, you go to your training, you do your work, and those external things that you would normally do that do cost a lot of energy sometimes are left for the weeks where you do have time and you do have the right mindset for it. So push-pull weeks are my go-tos.
I think that's a very smart way and a very effective way to really balance out, yes, to really balance out your energy levels and be in tune with your body and how you are because like you said, a no is a full sentence. I mean, that's very important and a lot of people don't believe that, but it can be as simple as that. But that goes into again private and business people pleasing. That's
Right? Oh,
the big frame that we see, the people pleasing. So yeah, that is very insightful. So I hope people are writing
writing
and
stuff
making
down.
notes. It's very
Speaking of
important.
writing stuff, do you know what? I love that you just said this. I'm just going to say it out loud. Is when I mean, I love to listen to a podcast when I'm like on the way. I'm not someone who'll
Mhm.
sit and listen to a podcast.
Yeah, me too.
But what I have been doing is straight after the podcast or like the same day is I bought myself a little notebook and
You created your journeys, right?
I create no oh that yeah that I did, but I thought it was here. I had this little journal, a podcast journal. So
Ah,
you
cool.
write down the podcast, what you've just listened to, and then you take notes.
Mhm.
And I think this has been so good. I've gone back and listened to episodes when something happens in my life that I feel that I need, a bit of external information or advice or so forth, or something that really impacted me. That's been awesome. So I don't know if have you ever tried this? Just writing stuff down after you listen to a podcast and not just kind of letting it go. I
Yeah.
found that really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, in general, making notes and actually, because if you read something, that's one thing, but then you need to soak it up and then it needs time
Mm.
to, get into your cells, I would like to say,
Yeah.
until you actually can apply it. Because if I tell you something now, you'll be like, okay, that's interesting, but let's just let a few minutes or even 3 hours pass and you're like, how did that work again?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. And obviously, it is, and I think it's also powerful with what you're doing whenever you are going through adversity and there's an emotion to it. You connect it with the learning. And I
Mm.
think the learning effect and soaking it up is even more intense because we are just emotional beings. We need to understand this because we always try to be the heart and the warrior, you know. And for man, it's a huge issue. I can speak on that. Is if you show emotions, you're gay or you're weird. It's these kind of things, you know. So there's no room for this, you know. It's only the hustle, you know.
But
And I think
that's exactly what we're talking about, and I think it's from
exactly,
both sides, you know?
exactly.
It's why are we all so hard? What is that fear that is driving us to not show up as we are, as who we are? What I know it's fear of rejection. I understand that. And fear of rejection is big and it's heavy. And, you know, it's like, okay, what if they reject me? What if they don't? Like, there's a 50-50 chance, right? So why do we drive that? And I think men as well, what you just said, men struggle to be vulnerable. Men struggle to open up. God, women are like, I think what you just said, the opinion of it's like it's soft or it's seen as being like gay or it's this or some whatever. We are craving as women, we are craving this vulnerability from men.
Yeah, that is a huge topic because when it comes to, and I can also share this again, I would say I matured pretty well in the years, and also from my background as a child, what I've went through, I learned a lot, and I knew that being mature and emotional intelligent is a very important key for making number one, women around me feel safe. That's the
Mm,
most important. Being regulated in my emotions because if you I don't know, if you lose your stuff, okay, you'll maybe and I'm just guessing, you know, but not that this is a real but I would say it is less dangerous compared to a man who is
mm,
not under control with his emotions because even if a woman is trained in martial arts,
mm.
chances are very low that she could do anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's why I say it's very important because it goes deeper because we always think about, yeah, have your emotions. And then you say, yeah, why should I speak about emotion? Now, when it comes to getting into the whole emotional part with a woman is also emotional safety,
Mm,
emotional consistency. So those are very important topics. Now, are you ready to hear I would say a heavy story, a heavy background? Are you ready to process the things that you hear,
mm.
you know? And I think that is also the fear of a lot of men when it comes to opening up and speaking,
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, if I share this with her, the first thought, and no matter with all my homies, if I speak with them, they're like, bro, I can't do this because the moment she uses this against me is the last time I will share anything. And that's very dangerous if you do this as a woman. But I would
Mm,
also say the other way around. But with
yeah.
us men, we already have it super hard when it
Yeah.
comes to just opening up. And if something like this happens, this is for you, like, this is really the door is closed. Like, it's
Mm,
never going to open again. It
mm.
is going to be very hard. It's going to take, I don't know what to really rebuild this. And yeah, you cannot reverse this
That's
actually, you know?
true, that's true, but what I think what I see a lot is that step that men are making, which is and taking, which I absolutely love, is being vulnerable, but then disappearing. You
Mm,
know, it's like you come to the table with this vulnerability, which is so powerful, and that is almost like an invitation to a woman to
yes.
step in. She feels this connection. Sure, we don't, you know, we can't just go by connection, but in regards to you know, behavior and so forth. And then all of a sudden you disappear out of, I don't know, fear that you opened up too much, fear out of what this is showing immaturity in regards to emotional intelligence or lack of what we were just talking about.
Mm,
So I think we all have work to do. And I
yes.
feel that more so today than any other day, it is very present in the world that you know, and I think this is a beautiful thing to talk about on this podcast in regards to this topic because we hustle and grind so much that we distract ourselves from anything that we feel, anything that is quiet, that is still, that is vulnerable. Again, that power that women have. You block it out. And even as a man, you work, 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 and you just can cut off all of those ties. And I think we all need to just slow down a little bit because that's where we recharge. That's where we
Yeah.
hear intuition. That's where we hear, you know, peace or not. You know, are you what you spoke about before, your nervous system. Again, we do hear a lot of this online as well. And I think, again, there's a lot out there, but I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's making people aware and mindful, but you can only be aware and mindful if you slow down. When I'm completely busy and working full on and have no white space in my day or in my calendar, I don't hear anything. I don't hear my creativity, which is part of my power. I don't hear my intuition, which is part of my power. I don't feel
Mm,
joy, which is part of my power,
mm,
right?
mm.
They're gone because I'm just hustle, grind, grind, grind for everything else. If I just stopped and I made rest a priority, and rest, like what we just said, the push pull, rest doesn't necessarily like, lay on your back like a starfish.
Yeah.
Rest is like quiet time, no appointments, maybe put your phone away, be bored. What does it feel like to be
Yeah.
bored? Do one thing at a time. If you're cooking, then cook. Don't listen to a podcast and cook at the same time. Cook.
Yeah.
If you're watching a movie, watch the movie. Don't pick your phone up and watch
Yeah.
2 screens at once. Like, when did that
Yeah.
start becoming cool? If you go and have a coffee with a friend, do not bring your phone out onto the table, even if you turn it upside down. Try doing one thing at a time. One thing.
Yeah. Be present.
Yeah, this is power. This
Mm,
is, presence. This is like, how am I feeling? Checking in with myself, which I did the other day actually. And I did this also with my coaching. I said, how am I feeling? How's
mm.
Alex feeling? And then I was like, what does Alex want? Oh my God, I could not answer it. I couldn't answer because I'm
Yeah.
so
That's
distracted and so busy with everything else.
yeah. And that just shows at what speed we are
Yeah,
going at times.
yeah,
Just getting back to the whole man and opening up from an emotional standpoint, it is actually true leadership in being vulnerable because if you share what is on your mind and you're open, then that is extremely powerful. It is
mm,
freeing. It is very freeing. And you also get to learn way more about yourself because the moment somebody doesn't take you serious also shows you very quick how you can or who you should let go of. I think
mm,
that's also very easy then to filter out and show and understand because it is a power in cut off and numb to your emotions is, I would say, the end of you actually ever being present, ever living truly. You've
yeah,
already died before you even got to live it. you know so yeah, very nice. Now,
yeah.
when we go to another question when it comes to gentleness and recovery, what are
Mm.
your non-negotiable recovery rituals that keep you powerful and present?
Nutrition, it's number one. No, sorry, sleep would be the non-negotiable for me.
Yeah. Why? Why? Could you dive in? I think it's important for people to know because
Yeah,
you and I, we know obviously, but
yeah. I think
especially as a woman.
Yeah, I mean, people underestimate the power of sleep, and we tend to put a lot more energy or a lot more focus onto, maybe other areas of the ecosystem like stretching or taking a day off, or, when you think of recovery and going out into the forest or going to the ocean. But if your sleep it's the number one question I will ask if someone comes to me and says they're not feeling really good, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same with me. If I'm not feeling good, I'm like, "Okay, how was my sleep the last 2 or 3 days?" And I can show you, like, my Whoop, it's 90%. Like, it's not always 90%, but at the moment, it's
But you're
90%, and
you're
and
up
I
there.
yeah, and prioritize this, especially right now with what's happening in my life and, competing and blah, but sleep will be number 1. You need it for so many different things, from not just recovery and not just, recharge, but also what's happening inside your body. The I
Hunger.
forget the word. Yeah, the restoration of your cells, of your organs, of your brain, of everything. You need rest.
Yes.
And I think that needs to be number 1 on everyone's list. How was my sleep?
Mm,
Not, I'm really stressed at work, or this is happening, or this is happening. No, how was my sleep? And then moving into your nutrition and having a look at how are you showing up and how am I showing up? And, I trained yesterday and I was like, I even said to my training partner, I was like, my nutrition was really bad on Monday and I can feel it. I need to make some changes. So what am I going to do? And then comes your recovery and so forth. So what does my recovery actually look like? Is it movement? Is it sauna? Is it stretching? Is it time on my own to be quiet? Is it white space in my day? So that just depends on where I'm at in my life and what's coming up and what's happened. And even like I said before, knowing what gives me energy, sitting in a cafe gives me
mm,
so much energy. good coffee, little cafe, nothing else. I don't need anything else. I just wanna sit there, and I'm a bit of a coffee snub, but, I recharge. My soul is, like, recharged. I feel my creative mind start to move. So, yeah, sleep, nutrition, and creating white space or doing things that give me energy.
Thank you. That's good. Good to know. Yeah. I always say it is at number one, sleep, then comes your mind, and then comes your
Mm.
nutrition. And I think that those are the pillars to build, when it comes to regulating hormones, or if you're it even shows in blood work. That's also a very
Mm.
interesting topic, having blood work done and seeing, okay, how has your sleep impacted you and your cortisol levels? Are they high,
Right.
Or do you
Yeah.
wake up between 2 and 4 a.m. At night? Those are indicators that show, hey, maybe I should, work on my sleep hygiene, screen
Mm.
time. There's a little function, the red filter on your phone, press 3 times and it turns red. That's a very nice function for people to know. You can do this as a shortcut when you just press it and it turns red. I think that's a
I love
very,
this, yeah. That's it, I love that you show that too. But to
yeah,
jump on what you just said, I think it's really important to highlight that again is you sleep, you sleep like I would just said, training felt really off, I felt really weak, or if you go for a run and you've got no energy or blah in that kind of situation, you sleep in the same way, and I love that. It's like, okay, are you waking up between 2 and 4 AM? If you are, that is a red flag. What do I need to do? What happens during that time? That's a cortisol spike normally. Okay,
mm,
where am I in my life? What phase as a woman am I in my life? What's happening during my day? Again, your hygiene, your sleep hygiene. How am I going to
mm,
bed? And I said this to a group of people when we were talking about sleep recently. I don't know if it was an event I did, you create this gorgeous sleep hygiene and you've got like all these dim lights and you haven't used your screen and then you go to brush your teeth and you turn the lights on. I was like,
yes,
put some dim lights in your bathroom. This is beautiful. I
yes,
have those fake candles in there and
mm,
maintain that whole kind of space for you rather than going in and turning these bright lights on and just ruining everything you did. But that phone thing I think is really important. I love that. Yeah.
yeah, it is. And also what you just said, this is something my mom always does this. And then she's
Yeah.
like, I don't sleep that well. Yeah, mom, you turn on the bright lights. That's why I'm so strict when it comes to no, don't turn on the light. I rather walk in the dark than turn on
Yeah,
the light,
me too. Me
We
too. Yeah, yeah.
we have those little dimmed light indicators,
Oh yeah.
and when you walk, they just turn on and they're very
Oh, that's
soft.
nice.
So it
That's
shows
nice.
you the way, it's nothing super fancy, it's not
Mhm.
that expensive. It's like little magnets and you can just put them anywhere and then you can, you just have a path so you know where you go, And I'm very strict with this, there's
Yeah,
a certain time, don't turn on the light, just keep it very
yeah.
low, and I think this also is a very powerful, and it's those small things people don't even think about it. You
Yeah.
don't think about this, it's like, oh, the light is not that big. It is a
Mm.
big deal, your
It is.
brain.
I had a client who she was like, "No, but my sleep, I'm good. I'm not looking at my screen, blah, blah," and I said, "There's gotta be something." She was
Yeah.
like, "Hmm." She goes, "My husband, he always watches, like, TV when I hop into bed." I was like, "That's a pretty big screen."
Yeah.
And, just sometimes stopping for a moment and just kind of going back and going over your day and over your steps and what do you do? It's also like snacking, right? Same thing with foods. It's like, "No, I eat these really healthy meals. What do you have between?" "Oh, I just have a bag of these things on my desk when I'm teaching," and what's in that bag? Same thing with your sleep, right? So
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh my god, that made such a difference." And he was also the same. He's like, "Okay, let's get this TV out of the bedroom." And just use the bedroom for sleeping. So I think it's really interesting. Yeah. None of us are
Very.
perfect. I mean, I also sometimes caught myself like looking at screens before bed and I was like, okay, I've got to go to bed. And I was like, I'm not sleeping very well, but that's on me.
Yeah. Accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That thing.
that's true.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think that in itself is very insightful. I think, we already have quite some stuff.
Mm.
And we get to the last topic, which is presence and embodying leadership. Now, we spoke about a few things already, but I think this is also an interesting one. What does embodying leadership actually look like for you in daily life, not just on stage or in the gym?
Wow. Embodying leadership is it's a very I think this topic is beautiful. And it's my biggest like what's at the top of my vision board in front of me is to be a mum worth modeling and to be a coach that I would like to be coached by. And yet my role is also a mentor. I'm a mentor to my team, which I personally have found to be one of the most challenging steps or parts of my professional career is building a team and constantly having to self-reflect and be like, what am I doing wrong? Like I know that failure is always feedback, but to build a team, people will never love your project the way you do, right? But how do I mentor these team members so that there's respect, that there is, loyalty to a certain degree, that there is mutual understanding? I'm still think I'm in the beginning stages because I've always been very independent, done everything on my own. And it's only recently that I stepped back and said, for me to grow as a woman, as a mum, as a coach, I need to get out of my business and start working on it. So to do that, I need to build a team, right? And I'm learning, Dwayne, the whole leadership thing. I always thought I was such a great leader and building communities and everything, but I think leadership has many colors to it and many shades. And you got to run a tight ship and you've got to ask for help. It's one of the hardest jobs ever. And I want to
Uh,
quit a lot.
yeah, leadership is, I believe, also it is very powerful, but also it is a new way of living, breathing, and being present.
Right.
Because already working as a coach, you keep yourself pretty accountable for a lot of things. And I think that is also something. And then when you get into leadership, it is also how does it work with other people, different individuals, different types of people, different communication styles, different ideas, and to bring all of this into a sustainable ecosystem that runs well is, I think, also just like life, you need to figure it out. There
Yeah.
is no manual. I think, of course, there are like nice books about leadership that can help you and give you a framework, but I would say 90% is actually how you interact with other humans,
Mm.
how you are from your core. And I believe if you are a kind person that is able to set boundaries, then I believe you will go a very far and very good way. The
Yeah.
path will look
And
pretty good.
not about people pleasing, that's for sure.
No.
I've being in a leadership role, and I love being in this role, I feel comfortable here. I feel challenged but supported, so I like this position. I like to be in this position. But I also like to be, in the room with people who have done what I wanna do and who are doing what I wanna do.
Mhm.
But for me to really be the best leader that I can be, I still have some training wheels, I feel, but I think I'm doing okay. Yeah.
I believe so too.
Yeah, but I think what you said to embody it, it's to really what are my boundaries, honor those boundaries, put expectations on the table upfront and have that mission, that vision and those values for my business, for my company, and for me personally as a businesswoman and as a CEO to this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and if you bring your seat to the table, this is your expectation and my expectation. So I'm learning along the way. I'm learning.
Beautiful. Thank you for this. Now, Alex, I've kind of sweated it, to be honest, but that's the cool part about it. I have and you remember this, I have a tradition
Mm.
at this podcast, and it is the question. Now,
Oh
the
yeah.
former guest left the question for you, and the question for you is if you could jump straight into your successful life right now without going through all the hardships in between, but you do it, why?
'Cause it's the journey that I celebrate. I never seem to celebrate when I reach it.
Ah,
It's the
me
journey where
too.
the juice is. Yeah. Oh, I like the juice.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Mm.
I'm with you on that. I think it is important to soak it all up. And even though some moments you're like, no, but I believe that is life. And I think that's also the beauty in it. It's a
Yeah,
perspective
that
that we
absolutely
create.
like, that process, like, the times of me falling and getting back up again, and even today I wrote, a caption for one of my posts that I did on social media, and it was quite it really got me when I was writing it. It was about my pain is my purpose,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think we are all here to find what our purpose is, and that's the fear of many people these days is they don't know why they're here. They don't know what their purpose is, and constantly searching for that. And it's, what is that? And I think when you find it, and my purpose is created or is from comes from pain, and that's the process, right? Everything I've experienced is the woman I am today, the mother I am today, the coach I am today, the coach I'm going to be. And that all comes from my journey and my experiences and so forth. So to get rid of all of those, who would I be?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Now the tables turn. What is one question you will leave for the next guest?
Okay, I love this question. So, if we were all in a cinema watching your life on the big screen, what would we be screaming at you?
It's a good one. Alex, thank you for being here. It was very beautiful, and this time I will not lose the footage. So, yeah, it was very
Thank
nice, and I really enjoyed this one.
thank you so much for having me. Finally.